I never thought firing someone could feel like slipping a noose around your own neck. But that's exactly what Victoria Hale did when she smirked at me across that glass desk and said, "Monroe, you're done here. Pack your shit and get out before I call security." In that split second, as her perfectly manicured fingers tapped the termination letter like it was a death warrant, I saw it all unravel. The affair she'd buried, the embezzlement she'd pinned on me, the life she'd stolen from me 5 years ago when she swapped our fates without a single drop of blood. It started in the fluorescent hell of Apex Innovation's 12th floor offices in Midtown Manhattan, where dreams go to die under the hum of overworked printers and the stink of stale coffee. I was 28, fresh off a psych degree from NYU, clawing my way up from intern to junior analyst. The kind of girl who believed in meritocracy like it was the American dream on steroids. Victoria was the queen bitch VP of operations, 42, with cheekbones sharp enough to cut glass and a Rolodex full of senators' mistresses. She glided through the halls in Louboutins that clicked like gun hammers, her blonde bob never out of place, her smile a weaponized curve that said, "I own you." But here's the hook that still twists in my gut. I didn't just work for her. I'd been her shadow, her scapegoat, her secret. 5 years earlier, during a late-night merger crunch, we'd both crashed at the office after a team-building retreat in the Hamptons that involved too much Veuve Clicquot and not enough boundaries. One sloppy kiss led to a weekend in her Tribeca loft, tangled sheets and whispered promises about climbing the ladder together. "You're my Monroe doctrine," she'd purred, tracing my collarbone. "No one crosses us." I bought it hook, line, and sinker. Naive kid from Queens thinking I'd found my power couple in the concrete jungle. By Monday, she was back to Ice Queen, and I was reassigned to data entry purgatory. Whispers followed. Monroe's the flavor of the week. But I swallowed it, worked double shifts, crunched numbers that built her empire. Then came the merger with Sterling Dynamics, a $200 million deal that could have made Apex the next tech titan. I was the one who spotted the anomaly, $5 million siphoned into offshore accounts, funneled through dummy vendors. My report flagged it, clean and irrefutable, emailed straight to Victoria with a CC to the board for transparency. Rookie mistake. That night, she called me into her office after hours. The city lights glittered like distant gunfire through the blinds. "Monroe." "Honey," she said, pouring a scotch from her private decanter. "You've got balls." "But this," she slid my report back, redacted in black marker. "This stays between us. Fix it. Make it disappear." Her eyes, those predatory blue chips, held mine, and I saw the calculation. I was expendable. She was untouchable. The money? Her slush fund for a Senate run, greased by lobbyists who'd owe her forever. Betrayal number 1. She'd framed the skim as my idea from day one, planting digital breadcrumbs in my login history. I refused. "Vic, this is fraud. We're talking prison time." She laughed, low and throaty, like I'd told a dirty joke at a funeral. "Prison? For who? Sweetheart? You think the board cares about some Queens girl with daddy issues? You're the fall guy. Always were." She leaned in, breath hot with bourbon. "Sign the NDA. Take the severance, or I'll bury you so deep your own mother won't recognize the mugshot." I walked out, heart pounding like a subway train, and spent the next week in a fever dream of evidence gathering, screenshots, timestamps, even a voice memo from that Hamptons weekend where she bragged about cooking the books for the big leagues. I went to HR, then legal dead ends, all bought off by her network. By Friday, the feds were sniffing around, tipped anonymously, her, obviously, and my apartment was tossed. No charges yet, but the cloud hung like smog over the skyline. That's when the real nightmare kicked in. The body swap, or whatever the hell it was. It happened on a rainy Tuesday, the kind where the Hudson smells like regret. I'd holed up in a dive bar in Hell's Kitchen, nursing a Jameson and scrolling job listings, when this guy slid onto the stool next to me. Mid-40s, rumpled suit, eyes like black holes, Dr. Elias Crow, he said, a neurotech whiz who'd washed out of DARPA for ethical lapses. He bought me around, rambled about quantum entanglement and consciousness transference, some black-budget project gone rogue. Ever wonder if you could step into someone else's skin? He slurred, flashing a prototype device, a sleek neural implant, no bigger than a quarter, humming with illicit promise. Drunk on despair, I bit. What? Like Freaky Friday for adults? He grinned, yellow teeth in the neon glow. Better.
Permanent.
You wake up as them, they wake up as you. A fresh start, or a reckoning. We stumbled to his walk-up in Chelsea. A elaborate den of circuit boards and flickering monitors. He prepped me with a waiver thicker than the Bible, muttering about sympathetic resonance. Strapped to a makeshift gurney, electrodes kissing my temples. I thought of Victoria's smirk and whispered, "Make it her." The swap hit like a lightning strike in my veins, fire and void. Memories bleeding like ink in water. I blacked out to the wail of sirens in the distance, dreaming of boardrooms and betrayals intertwined. When I woke, it wasn't my threadbare studio staring back. It was her penthouse on the Upper East Side, silk sheets cool against skin that felt foreign. I bolted upright, heart slamming, and caught my reflection in the vanity mirror, Victoria Hale, in all her porcelain perfection, staring back with my eyes wide, furious, alive with Monroe's rage. Panic clawed first. Where was she?
Me?
But then the power surged, electric and intoxicating. I rifled through her closet, slipped into a power suit that hugged like armor, and logged into her laptop with biometrics that now answered to my pulse. Emails flooded, board meetings, donor calls, a calendar slot for discreet disposal of loose ends. Loose end number 1, Monroe Riley. Effective immediately. I laughed then, a sound that echoed off marble floors, her laugh, but laced with my venom. The game had flipped. She thought she'd fired a nobody.
But now,
I was the nobody wearing her skin, and I was about to burn her world to ash from the inside. The first move was subtle, surgical. I showed up to Apex that morning, gliding through security with her keycard swipe, nodding at assistants who scurried like roaches. The office buzzed with merger fever, analysts hunched over spreadsheets, oblivious to the wolf in VP's clothing. I settled into her corner office, the one with the view of Central Park like a green taunt, and fired off a memo. All hands, immediate audit on Q3 vendor payments. Anomalies detected. Full transparency required. CC, the entire C-suite, plus external counsel. Let the hounds loose. By noon, whispers slithered under doors. Her protege, that smarmy Chad from finance, knocked hesitantly.
Beak.
You okay? That memo. It's like you're gunning for blood. I fixed him with her ice stare, my voice a velvet blade. Chad. Darling. Blood's already been spilled. Time to cauterize. He paled, backing out like I'd handed him a live grenade. Lunch was a power salad at Le Bernardine, where I accidentally bumped into Senator Langford, her golden ticket, the one she'd betted for PAC money. Over-seared foie gras. I dropped the bomb. Tom, that sterling deal? It's got more skeletons than your last campaign ad. His fork froze midair.
Victoria.
What the hell? You assured me. I leaned in. Conspiratorial. Assurances are for suckers. But fix this. And maybe I forget the FEC filings I just authorized. He sputtered, face reddening like a bad lobster roll. But I was already gone. Heels clicking triumph as I hailed a cab back uptown. The real thrill came that evening, sifting through her secrets. Hidden folders on the desktop, photos of us from that weekend, blurred and incriminating, wire transfers to a Cayman account under my old alias, Monroe M. Riley, LLC, a shell she'd set up to launder the skim. And the kicker, medical records. She'd dose me that night in the Hamptons, not just champagne, but a roofie cocktail to ensure compliance, then snapped pics to hold over me. Insurance, the note read. For when the little bitch bites back. Rage boiled, but I channeled it cold. Next target, her family. Victoria's husband, Richard, a Wall Street drone with a wandering eye and a Hamptons timeshare, got an anonymous text from a concerned colleague, links to her donor dalliances, time-stamped alibis that didn't match his. By midnight, her phone lit up with his voicemails. What the fuck?
Vic.
Langford? In our bed. I deleted them one by one, savoring the digital carnage. But cracks showed early. In the mirror, her face mocked me, those high cheeks, that perpetual half-smile. Applying her makeup felt like drag in reverse, a performance of poise while my queen's accent threatened to slip through. And the dreams, flashes of her life bleeding into mine. Boardroom conquests laced with paranoia, a childhood of country club snubs fueling her climb. Was this swap stealing pieces of me? Or was I finally seeing the monster she'd always been? Day 3. The Fed circled. Agent Ruiz, a noble shit Latina from the Manhattan field office, requested a voluntary interview. I met her in a Starbucks off Park Avenue, her badge glinting like Judgment Day. MS.
Hale.
Your name's on some interesting wiretaps. Care to explain 5 mil vanishing into thin air? I sipped my latte, oat milk, because apparently Victoria was mindful and lied with her silver tongue. Agent, it's a witch hunt. My analyst, Monroe Riley, she cooked the books, framed me to cover her tracks. I've got logs. Ruiz's eyes narrowed, but she bought the hook. We'll need those logs. And MS. Riley for questioning.
Perfect.
Let the noose tighten on the body she discarded. That night, alone in the penthouse with a bottle of her 82 Bordeaux, I applauded the escalation. Revenge wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon through razor wire. Controversial? Hell yes, impersonating a exec. Tampering with evidence. Gaslighting her empire. But she'd stolen my name. My future. Pinned a felony on my back like a scarlet letter. Eye for an eye?
Nah.
I'd take her whole damn vision. Little did I know. The swap had strings. Crow's device wasn't flawless. Glitches hummed in my periphery, headaches like migraines from hell. Whispers of her voice in my skull urging caution. And somewhere out there, in my old studio with the leaky faucet, Victoria Hale woke up screaming in Monroe's skin, realizing the nightmare had just begun. Waking up as Victoria was like slipping into a Ferrari with no brakes. exhilarating until the cliff edge loomed. By week 2, I'd mastered her stride, her laugh, even the way she twirled her Mont Blanc pen during calls like it was a baton in a parade of bullshit. Apex buzzed with my audits, vendors squirmed under subpoenas, and Chad, poor, spineless Chad, resigned in a tearful email, citing toxic leadership, Victoria's toxicity, amplified by my grudge. I forwarded it to the board with a note. See, rot starts at the root, but power's a drug, and I was hooked deep. Mornings began with her Peloton in the penthouse gym, pounding out miles while scanning her inbox for vulnerabilities. One thread caught my eye: Project Echo, a Black Ops AI deal with a shady DoD contractor, promising surveillance tech that could predict dissent in urban hotspots. Ethical? About as much as a fox guarding the henhouse. She'd greenlit it solo, bypassing compliance, with kickbacks routed to that Cayman nest egg. I leaked a redacted spec sheet to The Intercept via a burner Tor account, anonymous tip, Apex's dystopian wet dream. By evening, headlines screamed, tech giant eyes mind control for the masses? The backlash hit like a nor'easter. Protests clogged the streets outside Apex Tower, activists in Guy Fawkes masks chanting, "Hail no," while her stock tanked 15 points overnight. I watched from her office window, sipping espresso from a cup monogrammed VH, a thrill coiling in my gut like barbed wire. Controversial? Dropping that bomb meant jobs lost. Families gutted, mine included, if the dominoes fell wrong. But she'd framed me for worse. This was just karma with a megaphone. Her personal life crumbled faster than a stale bagel. Richard filed for divorce that Thursday, his lawyer citing irreconcilable depravity and attaching affidavits from escorts in the meatpacking district, trysts I'd fabricated with deepfake receipts. Her face swapped onto grainy footage. The tabloids ate it up. VP Victoria's Velvet Vice, from boardroom to bedroom betrayals. I posed for the paparazzi outside her, my gym, flashing that signature smirk. But inside, Monroe's doubt gnawed. Was I becoming her? The woman who drugged me, discarded me like yesterday's kale smoothie? The real test came at the board retreat in the Berkshires, a wood-paneled lodge where execs patted backs and popped corks, pretending they weren't vampires in khakis. I arrived in her chauffeured Escalade, nerves jangling like loose change. The chairman, old money, Harlan Voss, greeted me with a bear hug that smelled of cigars and entitlement. Vic, darling, what's this echo madness? You're scaring the horses. Over venison and vintage cab. I spun the yarn. Harlan, it's a setup. Monroe's ghosting, hired hackers to smear us. But I've got a fix. Spin it as whistleblower protection. Pivot to ethical AI. Lies layered like milfy, each one sticking the landing. By the fire pit that night, stars pricking the Adirondack sky, Voss pulled me aside. You're playing with fire.
Beak.
But if you pull this off. His hand lingered on my elbow, implication thick as the smoke. Power's currency. After all, flesh for favors. I extricated with a laugh. But the seed planted. How far would I go? Seduce the board? Blackmail the missus? The line blurred. Her memory seeping in, nights where she'd traded dignity for deals. Waking hollow but victorious. Back in the city, the feds tightened the screws. Agent Ruiz hauled me in for round 2. This time at Foley Square. The federal courthouse looming like a tombstone. MS.
Haile.
Your logs check out mostly. But Riley's vanished. No trace after her termination. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you? I crossed my legs, her legs. toned from SoulCycle, and met her gaze. Agent. Monroe was unstable. Stalking vibes. Check her browser history. It's a stalker manual. I'd planted that too. Via Crow's backdoor hack. Searches for Victoria Hale home address. How to sabotage a career. Ruiz leaned forward. Her voice steel wool. Unstable? Or scared? We've got a voice memo. Your voice, bragging about cooking books during a merger. My blood iced. The Hamptons tape.
How?
But I recovered. Tears welling on cue. Victoria's crocodile specialty. Fabricated.
Deepfake era. Agent.
She wanted me gone. We danced for an hour. Me dodging like a matador. Until she relented. Stay in town. This isn't over. Driving back in the Escalade. Rain slicking the FDR drive. I called Crow on the burner. Doc. Glitches? Or is she fighting back? His voice crackled. Paranoid whispers. The link's bidirectional.
Kid.
You're in her head. She's clawing into yours. Cut the cord soon. Or it'll fry you both. Fry us both. Like we were circuits, not souls. But cutting meant losing the penthouse views, the deference, the chance to eviscerate from the throne. That's when the messages started. From my old number, her. Trapped in my skin. Monroe. You bitch. Give it back.
I'll ruin you.
Attached. A selfie. Her face twisted in my mirror. Raccoon eyes from crying. My threadbare tank top hanging loose on her frame. I deleted it. But the next came audio. Her voice in my throat. Begging.
Please.
Richard's divorcing me. The feds think I'm you, the thief. Schadenfreude soured to something sharper. Pity?
No.
Justice deferred. I escalated. Hired a PI through her slush fund, discreet. Off books, to tail the new Monroe. Reports trickled. Her holed up in my studio. Ranting to ghosts. Trying to access her accounts with failed passwords. Pathetic. But then the twist. She went public. A blog post on Medium. My stolen life, framed by Apex's Iron Lady. Grainy photo of me looking haunted. Words spilling like bile. The affair. The skim. The swap veiled as psychological break. It went viral, Justice for Monroe trending on X. Protesters now chanting my real name outside the tower. Board panic peaked. Voss called an emergency Zoom. Vic. Contain this. Or we contain you. I nodded on camera. Her poise masking my sweat. Off mic. I wired $50,000 to the PI. Make her disappear. Quietly. Controversial didn't cover it. Assault? Worse? But she dosed me once. Turnabout's fair play in this funhouse mirror. The hit went south that night. PI's call. She's onto me. Fought like a wildcat. Broke my nose. Holed up in a motel off the turnpike. I paced the penthouse. Skyline mocking my unravel. Her fighting back meant mine weakening, headaches spiking, memories fracturing. Last night's dream, not mine. Hers, a childhood equestrian show where daddy's approval hinged on blue ribbons. Not love. Empathy crept. Unbidden. Was she the villain? Or just another climber chewed by the machine? Dawn broke gray over the East River as I drove to the motel. Her Audi purring like a predator. Room 12.
Door ayar.
The air thick with cigarette smoke and desperation. There she was, me, curled on the bed in my old jeans. Eyes hollowed by the swap's toll. Victoria, I said, her voice from my lips. She bolted up. Feral. Give it back. You psycho. This body's falling apart. Your diabetes meds? I can't even walk straight. We circled like duelists. Accusations flying. You framed me. You stole me. Truths tumbled. The skim wasn't just ambition. It funded her sister's cancer treatments. Hidden shame in a family of means. Betrayal deepened. I'd suffered for her ghosts.
But mercy? Nah.
I lunged. Implant zapping between us. A feedback loop of pain. Visions colliding. She collapsed.
Gasping. Kolit.
It's not permanent. Reversal code, say it. And we switch back. Temptation clawed. End it clean? Or push to the brink? I whispered the code. But twisted it, partial swap. Souls tangled halfway. She screamed as I felt her essence flood back. Partial.
Poisoned.
Driving away. Her car keys jangling. I laughed through tears. The revenge was mine. But the cost? A hybrid horror. 2 women in one skin. Plotting the next fall. The partial swap was like duct taping a live wire. Functional. But sparking chaos at every turn. Victoria's ruthlessness bled into my empathy, turning decisions into knife fights in my skull. One voice cooed boardroom strategies, the other snarled queen's grit, demanding blood. I compromised. No full murder, but a slow bleed. Back at Apex, I greenlit the Echo Pivot, ethical AI rebrand, complete with a $10 mil PR blitz. Voss ate it up, slapping my back at the next shareholder call. Victoria, you're a goddamn phoenix. Phoenix? More like Frankenstein's bitch. Stitched from stolen parts. But the viral storm raged. Justice for Monroe hit 500K tweets, fueled by her motel manifesto. Pundits on MSNBC dissected it. Is Hale the new Harvey? Or is Riley the unstable ex? I watched from her our couch. A glass of Pinot Noir trembling in my hand, her tolerance mixing badly with my lightweight liver. Controversial calls piled up. Do I sue for defamation? Painting me as a fabulist? Or leak more dirt? Like her offshore docs to WikiLeaks? The latter one, anonymous drop. Apex VP's tax haven tango. IRS audits followed. Her Cayman pot shriveling like a prune. Her counterpunch landed via email from a VPN in Jersey. My old Hotmail. You think you're winning? I've got your medicals, pre-swap psych eval. Bipolar. Off the meds. One call to the post. And Victoria Hale's breakdown buries you. Attached. Forged notes. My signature scrawled in digital ink. Bluff or not? It stung. Echoes of my real therapy sessions post-Hamptons, when the roofy haze left me doubting my own mind. She'd twisted my pain into her weapon. Again. I hit back harder, delving into family fractures. Her sister, Elena, dying of lymphoma, propped by that dirty money, got a visit from concerned Vic. In the sterile glow of Sloan Kettering, I played the doting sibling.
Sleeping Elena with sis.
Hale's laundering scandal. Evidence to clear your bills legit. Elena's eyes, sunken but sharp, widened. What have you done? Tears. Recriminations. A vow to testify if it came to that. Blood thicker than water? Not when poisoned. The climax brewed at the annual Apex Gala. Black tie bacchanal at the Met's Temple of Dunder, Nile gods overseeing champagne flutes and backroom deals. I arrived in her custom Vera Wang. Diamonds winking like conspirators. Arm in arm with Voss to quash rumors. Flashbulbs popped as I air-kissed donors. Her charm a second skin now. But midway through the keynote, reimagining ethics in tech, My phone buzzed. Her. I'm coming for you. Live stream in 5. Panic spiked. But I masked it. Voice steady as I touted, transparent futures. Screens flickered. The crowd's murmurs swelled. Then it hit. A hacked feed. Projected on the gala's jumbotron, grainy footage of the Hamptons weekend. My body limp from the dose. Her hands adjusting the sheets. Gasps rippled. Voss choked on his scotch. What the actual fuck?
Beak.
Chaos erupted. Guests fleeing like rats from a fire. Reporters swarming with mics like vultures. I bolted backstage. Heart hammering. Dialing the PI. Find her.
Now.
He traced the signal to a van in Midtown. But too late. By dawn. The story exploded. Apex XX assault tape rocks elite gala. Stocks cratered 30%. Voss's resignation email pinged at 4 a.m. You're toxic.
Hale.
Clean house or join the unemployment line. Homeless in her skin. I crashed at a no-hole loft, hers. A fuckpad for lobbyists, nursing a hangover of hubris. The swap's toll mounted, migraines like sledgehammers. Visions of her childhood overlaying mine. Equestrian ribbons morphing into my mom's bingo cards. Crow called. Voice gravel. It's degrading. Souls don't share well, psychosis incoming. Finish it or fry. Finish how? Kill the body we shared?
Or mercy swap.
Letting her rot in my old life while I rebuilt hers? Her next move was surgical, a tip to Ruiz. Positioning Monroe as the victim witness. Feds raided the loft at noon, badges blazing.
Victoria Ale.
You're under arrest for assault. Fraud. Conspiracy. Cuffs bit her wrists, my pulse racing beneath, and as they Mirandized me, her laugh bubbled up. Unbidden. You did this, I hissed to the empty squad car.
No. We did.
Jail was a concrete purgatory in Rikers. Her privilege buying a solo cell, but not the whispers. That's the tech witch.
Flamed Loa.
Now she's paying. Visits from lawyers, hers. Blood-sucking sharks, painted escape routes. Plea to misdemeanor. Community service. A quiet fade. But I stonewalled. Feeding them half-truths to drag it out. Let her empire smolder. Elena visited once. Gaunt in a headscarf. Eyes like accusations.
Beak. Why?
The money was for me, for us. I leaned to the plexiglass. Her tears mirroring mine. It was never clean.
El.
You knew. She recoiled. Monroe? Is that you in there? The swaps bleed through. My accent slipping. Queen's twang cracking her polish.
Elena Pallid.
Crossing herself. God help us both. Parole hearing loomed at month 3. A kangaroo court of suits and stares. I prepped her script. Contrition. Donations. A healing journey. But as the panel droned, MS.
Hale.
Remorse? Victoria's voice surged, hijacking my tongue. Remorse? For what? Surviving? The room froze, gavel slammed. Denied. Extended sentence, 6 more months. Her network fracturing like fault lines. In solitary's dim, I confronted the hybrid horror. Mirrors showed a face caught mid-scream, her beauty cracking under my fury. Dreams merged, her Senate dreams crashing into my psych degree. A therapist's couch where I unpacked the betrayal. Was revenge salvation or suicide? Controversial choices piled. Testify against boss for immunity? Or double down? Leak DoD ties to ignite a scandal that torches DC? The decision crystallized during a blackout, swap surge. Her essence raging. Fight me, she whispered in my skull. Or join me. I chose war, scratching a message into the wall with a contraband nail. Crow. Reversal.
Now.
He smuggled in the device during conjugal, disguised as a lawyer's watch, its hum a siren's call. Strapped to the bunk. I activated. Code whispered like a curse. Agony ripped, souls tearing, memories flaying. I woke gasping, but whose skin? The cell blurred, guards' voices echoed distant. Freedom tasted like rust when I emerged, but the twist waited outside, not her penthouse, not my studio. A psych ward in White Plains, white coats murmuring delusional transfer. They'd swapped us back, feds, tipped by her planted evidence. I was Monroe again, committed as unstable. Her tale the truth, assault victim turned vengeful stalker. She'd won the long game, her smirk eternal in the orderly's charts. But in the mirror, my face, scarred by the fight, a spark lingered. Revenge round 2? The ward had computers, and grudges don't die easy. Psych ward life was a cocktail of Thorazine haze and group therapy circle jerks, where sharing meant baring your soul to strangers who smelled like institutional bleach. I was Monroe Riley again, officially. At least, doped on meds that dulled the swap's aftershocks but amplified the rage. Victoria's essence clung like cigarette tar, flashes of her Senate filibusters invading my art therapy scribbles, her boardroom barbs slipping into my mumbled soliloquies. The docs labeled it dissociative identity, prescribing more pills and integration exercises. Integration? I'd integrate her into hell if I could. The ward squatted on a hill overlooking the Taconic Parkway, chain-link fences winking with razor wire under sodium lights. Patients shuffled like ghosts, Vietnam vets muttering about Agent Orange, manic pixies sketching mandalas on napkins. I played compliant, nodded at Dr. Patel's Freudian probes. How does the betrayal make you feel, Monroe? Like swallowing glass.
Doc.
But aloud. Betrayed. Used. They ate it up, signing off on progress notes that chipped at my 72-hour hold, stretching to weeks. Victoria's victory lap played out in smuggled contraband, a contraband radio tuned to NPR.
Headlines calling her comeback.
Apex VP Hale beats back scandal. Vows reforms. Reforms? She'd spun the gala tape as deep-fake revenge porn by unhinged ex-employee Monroe Riley, parlayed it into a victimhood TED Talk, from assault to advocacy. Book deal rumors swirled. Oprah whispers. Bitch ascended while I finger-painted coping mechanisms. But grudges fester, like bedsores. During yard time, chilly afternoons pacing gravel under gun-toting guards, I pieced the reversal. Crow. That snake had double-dipped. Sold the code to her PI mid-swap, pocketing from both sides. He'd vanished post-raid, but his digital trail littered dark web forums. NeuroSwap beta, reversible, ruthless. I sweet-talked a tech-savvy schizo,
Lenny.
into hacking ward Wi-Fi with a jury-rigged router from scavenged parts. By night 3, I had access. Burner email to an old Apex contact. Fishing for crumbs. Crumbs became boulders. Chad, exiled but bitter, replied. Monroe? Thought you were locked up. Hale's a ghost, pivoted to consulting.
Yes, about.
But she's cracking. Nightmares. They say. Your ghost haunting her. Haunting. The partial bleed lingered bidirectional, her guilt gnawing my freedom, my fury eroding her polish. Perfect asymmetry. Escaping the ward meant gaming the system, American ingenuity at its medicated finest. I aced evaluations, feigned epiphanies. The anger was hers, not mine. I'm healing. Patel bought it, signing discharge papers with a paternal pat. Outpatient therapy.
Monroe.
And stay away from MS.
Hale.
Stay away? I'd crawl through barbed wire for a rematch. Back in Queens, my studio a time capsule of eviction notices and moldy takeout. Reality bit hard. No job. Credit trashed. Friends ghosted by the scandal's stink. Mom called from Flushing. Voice thick with worry. Marnie Bear. What happened? The news says you're troubled. Troubled? Try torpedoed by a trust fund termagant. I lied smooth. Corporate drama.
Ma.
Bouncing back. But nights. Staring at water stains like Rorschach tests. Her voice echoed. Fight me? Or join. Rebuild started small. Freelance gigs on Upwork. Crunching data for startups. Wary of my rep, but cheaper than clean slates. Cash trickled. Enough for a burner phone and a gym membership to sweat out the ward flab. Networking? I hit AA meetings in Astoria. Not for the hooch, cold turkey, since the swap. But the confessions, tales of bottoming out. Clawing up. One guy.
XCOM Turnet B.
Slipped me a card. Oh, you for the Apex leak. Need dirt? Dirt on Victoria? Oceans of it. We tailed her to AK Street fundraiser, her in emerald silk. Schmoozing Pauls like a pro. I watched from a shadowed booth. Heart a war drum. As she worked the room, laugh like wind chimes, touch like temptation. But cracks showed, a tremor in her toast. Eyes darting to shadows where mine should have been. Post-gala. RPI's snapped pics, her alone in a cab. Face crumpling. Mascara tracks like war paint. The controversial pivot, expose or explode. I could have gone nuclear, dumped the full Hamptons tape to TMZ. Watch her Senate dreams detonate. But that was her play. Scorched earth.
No.
I'd mirror it subtler. Infiltrate her inner circle. Applied for her reform initiative, irony thick as fog, as a recovered whistleblower consultant. Resume fudged. Monroe Riley. Ethics advocate. Post-Apex redemption arc. Her HR drone bit. Dazzled by the optics. Interview day. Her office reclaimed, redecorated in minimalist spite, loomed like judgment. She glided in late. Power suit crisp. But her eyes, those blue chips, widened a fraction at my face. MS. Riley. Bold of you. Her voice. Cool as cucumber martini. But I caught the hitch. Our shared static. Souls brushing like frayed wires. MS.
Hale.
Water under the bridge? Or bourbon? I quipped. Queen's edge honed. We danced, her probing my healing, me dropping barbs about mutual growth. She hired me, PR gold. The viper and victim united, but the air crackled.
Unspoken war.
First assignment, co-author her white paper on tech accountability. Late nights in conference rooms. Laptops syncing like synced heartbeats. Tension simmered. You look familiar, she murmured once. Overtight takeout. Like I've worn your shoes. I smirked her smirk. Tight fit. Huh. The bleed intensified, her migraines syncing with mine. Dreams overlapping in lurid detail. One night. Post-paper draft. She cracked. Monroe. What did we do that weekend? I didn't mean tears. Rare as hen's teeth. Vulnerability? Or ploy? I comforted, arm around her. Our scents mingling. Her perfume on my skin from the swap. We both fell.
Бік.
But falls break things. In that moment, blurred lines tempted. Alliance? Love reborn. Twisted?
No.
Dawn brought clarity, and her desk drawer rifled in the haze. Fresh ledgers. New skim for a Veep run. Betrayal eternal. I copied files to my drive. Heart leaden. Controversial? Sabotaging from within meant betraying the fragile truce, dooming us both to mutual destruction. Climax brewed at her launch event. Think tank panel in Foggy Bottom. Power players packed like sardines. I was her co-keynote, scripted to gush redemption. But as spotlights hit, I hijacked the mic. Accountability starts with truth. Like Victoria Hale's latest fraud, $2 million to pack ghosts. Slides auto-launched. Her ledgers. Timestamps glaring. Gasps, she lunged. Face ashen. Monroe.
No.
Feds swarmed post-panel. Ruiz. Smirking now. Deja vu.
Hale.
Cuffs clicked. Her empire imploded in real time. Tweets erupting like fireworks. I slipped out amid chaos. Cab to LaGuardia. A one-way to Seattle. New start. Clean slate. But the twist not en route. Her final whisper in my skull. Fading. You didn't win. We both lost. Lost? Or liberated. Her fall freed my chains. But the hybrid scar lingered, ambition laced with caution, ruthlessness tempered by regret. Seattle hit like a cold slap, evergreen chill cutting through my thrift store coat, the space needle mocking my fresh start with its phallic gleam. I crashed in a Belltown sublet, walls thin as promises, crashing waves from the sound a lullaby laced with homesickness. No more Manhattan grind. I tempeed at a startup brewing eco-apps, crunching sustainability metrics for baristas with MBAs. Normalcy? A fragile veneer over the void Victoria left, her voice silenced. But echoes in quiet moments. Fight or join?
Іде фут.
1. Debatable. News from the East Coast trickled via podcasts. Her downfall a slow-motion car wreck. Indictments stacked like Jenga. Wire fraud. Assault. Ethics violations. Apex dissolved in a fire sale. Voss suicided by shotgun in the Hamptons. Pressure. The obit lied.
Елена сурвивет кемо.
Inheriting the scraps. Testifying tearfully. My sister was broken long before Monroe. Broken. The word stuck. A pebble in my shoe during jogs along the waterfront. Puget Sound slapping pilings like unresolved chords. Months blurred. Therapy with a no-nonsense shrink named Carla. Unpacking the swap as metaphorical trauma, close enough. Dates flickered. A barista with tattoos and trust issues. A coder who quoted Vonnegut, but intimacy recoiled. Bodies feeling like borrowed suits. The controversial residue. Was I her now? Ambition stirred. Whispering boardrooms. But I quashed it. Volunteering at a women's shelter. Teaching resume tweaks to survivors. Own your narrative, I'd say. Victoria's polish gilding my grit. They nodded. Eyes hungry. I saw my younger self.
Брехали.
Then the letter came certified. Her lawyer's letterhead crisp as fresh snow. MS. Riley Re. Estate of Victoria E.
Hale.
Deceased by own hand. Pending coroner. Bequests enclose.
Deceased.
My knees buckled on the ferry to Bainbridge. Salt wind whipping the envelope. Inside, a flash drive, and we'll excerpt. To Monroe Riley. The mirror I couldn't shatter. The truth. And my apology. Burn it or build on it. Coroner confirmed. Overdose. Penthouse bathtub. Empty pill bottles like fallen soldiers. Timing? Days after sentencing, house arrest. No jail time. Her connections buying silk handcuffs. Suicide note vague. The swap ends. Guilt or escape? I booked a red-eye to JFK. The drive a ghost ride-up I-5. Memories unspooling like film reels. Her funeral was a farce. Closed casket at St.
Patrick's.
Mourners in Chanel veils whispering, tragic icon. I lurked in back pews. Incognito in a borrowed black dress. Elena spotting me with a nod no warmer than winter fog. Post-service. The loft, sealed. Musty, yielded the drive. Files upon files. Not just ledgers, diaries. Digitized in her looping script. Entries from the swap. Woke in her skin itchy.
Small.
Her rage a virus. Infecting. Miss my heights. But envy her fire. Later. Monroe haunts. Not as foe. But fragment. Did I love her? Or the fight? Deeper. The real secret. Chiseled from our shared dreams. The skim? Not just Elena's bills. A decade back. Victoria's father, Senator Emeritus, had covered a DUI hit-and-run, killing a pedestrian in Foggy Bottom. The victim? My Aunt Rosa, undocumented nanny from Queens, crossing against the light.
Ali Senor.
Buried it with payoffs. Victoria inherited the guilt. The machine. She'd hired me post-college, spotted my last name in HR as penance. Then temptation. The frame? To silence the anomaly I'd uncovered, linking the old cover-up to new funds. I'd borne her family's sin. Scapegoat for ghosts. Twist reversed. Not just betrayal, but blood debt. I wasn't random. I was reckoning incarnate. Rage reignited, but tempered. Her diaries ended. If she reads this,
Tell her, sorry.
and sorry not enough. Take the empire's ashes, build better. Elena confronted me at the loft. Keys jangling like chains. She left you the foundation, her reform nonprofit.
5,000 pesos, Sid.
Why? Her eyes. Victoria's blue, but softened by grief. Because you were her conscience.
Monroe.
The part she couldn't kill. Conscience? Or curse? I pocketed the drive. Options branching. Dissolve the fund. Spite her legacy? Or helmet? Twist her advocacy into real justice. Tech ethics for the voiceless. Aunt Rose's name etched in bylaws. Decision brewed over weeks. Hold up in the penthouse. Hers now. Mine by bequest. City pulsing below like a heart mended rough. Controversial end. I took the reins. Rebranded as Riley Hale Initiative, Gala launched drawing protesters and Pauls in equal measure. Speeches split. Monroe's redemption or vulture in victim's clothes? Debates raged on X, Ghost of Hale trending. Some hailing vigilante justice, others decrying grave robbing. Climax echoed the past. Keynote at TechCrunch, disrupt. Stage lights hot as judgment. Victoria Hale taught me revenge's hollow core. I said. Voice steady, mine. Unborrowed. But accountability? That's the real swap, trading power for purpose. Slides rolled. Her crimes contextualized. My aunt's story unveiled. Fund goals laser sharp. Applause thundered. Mixed with boos polarizing.
Perfect.
Post-event. Elena pulled me aside. Champagne flutes clinking. She'd hate this. Or love it. Which are you? I smiled. Hybrid no more, Monroe. Forged in fire. Both. And neither. Back in Seattle by fall. The initiative hummed remote. Donors biting on the drama. Dates deepened. The barista stuck. Tattoos tracing stories over mine. Nights. No echoes, just quiet. The sounds whisper absolving. Happy? Tragic? Ask the reader. Did I avenge Rosa? Or absolve Victoria? Justice or justification? The American way, messy, debatable, eternally unresolved. In the end, she fired me with a smirk, but I returned the favor, not with cuffs, but a mirror. And in its reflection, we both saw the truth. Monsters made, not born. Fade to the skyline. Lights flickering like questions unanswered.